Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Sa Sangat Ji, welcome back to the Demystifying Charitropakhyan series. We are going through the 19th Charitr in this episode, which is the 18th story within that series of Charitropakhyan. Chaupai Bind Band Sal Nrip Sutte Patayo. Band Sal means jail cell. Nrip means the king. Sutehi means son. Patayo means he's sent off. The king, Raja Charitr Singh, just like in the previous Charitrs, sends off his son back to the jail cell after the previous Charitr, the Sakhi, the story was shared by the advisors, by the mantris. Prat Samay, Prat means morning. Samay means time. Pon means fair. Nikata Balayo, Nikat means near. Balayo means to call forth. Then the king calls forth for his son in the morning, when the mantris are now going to share the next Sakhi, the next Charitr. Bohor mantri katha ucharyo Chitra Singh ko param nivaryo. Then after that, the mantris, the advisors, they said they're going to now say the new katha, the new story to Raja Charitr Singh, which will take away his param, which will take away his doubts. Yeah. So in the previous Charitras, if you remember, they added a doubt within Raja Charitr Singh's mind, and now in this Charitr they're going to be taking away a certain doubt of his. Yeah. Even though each time the Charitr opens up and there's this notation of Raja Charitr Singh sending his son down to the jail cell and then bringing him back up, every time that happens, it's not just it's not just casual that Guru Sahib is putting that there in every single story. Like we spoke a little bit about each Charitr, or the concept of these Charitras is that there's underlying messages within these stories, and it's the job of the reader to find those messages, right? And not just shun off a story because they themselves were not able to find that message, right? So one thing that came to my mind was that the way the king sends his son away to the jail, it's kind of like the way our antahakaran works. Antahakaran means like our subtle body. So within the subtle body, we have 4 different major parts that scholars speak of. And vidwananda kathana ki antahakaran vich 4 hisse चार जेरे मुख्य हिस्से गए. There's 4 main parts: मन, बुद्ध, चित, हंकार. The 4 main parts are your mind, your ability to produce thoughts, your buddha, your intellect, right? Your ability to choose or to decide on a decision, your chit, the ability to question, and hankar, the ability to execute. Yeah. So these 4 things are what makes up your subtle body, your internal body, right? So within that, it feels that like the king is the hankar, right? He's going to act out whatever his buddhi makes the decision of, right? So just a quick example how these 4 things work is that if I have a pen in front of me, right, my mind will first make a thought to pick up this pen, right? So the man will say, pick up this pen, right? The chit will come in and will produce a question: should I or should I not pick up the pen? The buddhi, based upon the sanskars, the values it has, it will create a decision. The intellect will create a decision: yes, pick it up. And the hankar will come and execute. So in that same way, I feel like the king is representing hankar. He's going to be executing a decision, right? And within that scheme, I feel like his son, right, Raja Charitr Singh's son, Raja Hanwant Singh, is the buddhi, is the intellect, right? And the intellect only rises when the sun rises, comes out of his jail cell of homemade, of ignorance, of being stuck in darkness. It comes out because now the mantri, the guru, right, is going to explain something. So it's like the buddhi that we have when the guru is giving sikhyama, we're outside of the jail. The buddhi is outside of the jail. The intellect's outside of the jail. It's receiving gyan. It's receiving knowledge. It's receiving what dharam is. Right? It's understanding. But the moment the guru and us, we separate, The moment we go on our own path and we turn our backs to the Guru, we go back to a jail cell, you know. And so this concept of nighttime going to jail cell, morning time coming out, is the concept of the buddhi. When the buddhi goes into darkness, it goes into jail, right? It's stuck in its own, and the jail is made out of kam, krodh, lo, mohankar. This jail is made out of 5 vices, right? It's capturing us, it's taking us and keeping us in a certain area, right? When we come out of the jails, when we meet the Guru, in this case the advisors, who teach us, who explain to us the path of the marg of dharma. Yeah. So that could just be one understanding of this notation that Guruji is using over and over again at the start of every Charitr. Okay, so we're going to go into the main story now. Dohira Saha Jahanabad mein ek Mughal ki bal. Right. So in this area, so Guru Sahib gives an area. The area is called Shah Jahanabad, right? which a lot of Vidwans think to be Delhi. Yeah. Mughal ki bal. They lived a istri of a Mughal. They lived a woman who was married to a Mughal. And the theme of the last few Charitres have been something similar. Mughal the istri. Yeah? So it's the same kind of theme going on here. Ta so kiyo Charitr ek so tum suno nirpal. She played a Charitr. She played a deception, right? She played a play on this on her partner, the Mughal. So tum suno nirpal. Nirpal means king. O Raja, a katha tusi suno. Chaupei. Taako naam Nadra Bano. What was her name? Her name was Nadra Bano. ठीक है. Amit roop taako jag jano. The world knew that her beauty was unmatched. Adik torne ke ko tej birajit. She was very young and she was very beautiful. Ja sam anatna kathu rajat, and there was no one like her in terms of beauty. Yeah. Dohira nis din bas taha kara Mughlan anta jai. So her husband, the Mughal, he would spend his time with other women. You know, he would not spend his time with this istri Nadra Bano. Yeah, he would neglect her. You know, neglecting her, he would spend night and day with other people. But Nadra Bano, you know, she was very faithful to him. She would stay by his side all the time. Or istriyan so paja triya to kachuna sankai. And this Mughal, he would go to other istriyan, he spend his time with other women, and he would not have any sharam. You know, he sankochda nisi. He would not refrain, or in any sort of way, he would not limit his interaction with other women. You know, so he was not afraid of his wife. Right? He would spend time with other women and not at all care if his woman knows or doesn't know. He would very openly spend time with other people. So she, this istri, Nadra Bano, she sees that her husband is spending time with other istriyan, with other women. So she gets really, she gets angry, right? She gets upset. Taran tar rischit. Ris means gussa. Apne man vich gussa tarya. Kina ek bulaik rehe baal bane ke mit. So she wants to kind of get back at him, right? Get back at him, or she wants to find her own, you know, she wants to find her own kind of path within all this, right? So what does she do? She makes a friend, right? The friend was a bani. Bani means a business guy. You know, she makes a friend with him. And ek divas taso kahyo ped sakal samjai. One day she explains to the bani ke putter tam tehi rakhiyo nijpat te dar pai. Why don't you keep your son in my house for a little while? Why? Because I'm a little scared of my husband. My husband has been spending his time with other women, you know, and for that reason I'm a little worried that he could do anything to me. So why don't you keep your son here for a while? Piye sovat ye jagat ja kya pat ko diyo jagaye la aa gaya sut ban kya sang bihari jai. So one day, what does she do? She's able to get the bani's son to sleep over her house, right? Unknowingly to her husband, so her husband does not know about this. And one day or one night when such a night where she was able to bring the bani, his son, over. The husband was sleeping, and she goes to wake him up. Right? She wakes him up and gets his agya to go and spend a night with the bani, his son. Right? And how does that happen? Guruji explains. So she goes to him, wakes him up, and she says to him, "Piya sovat triya jo jagya." If she asks him a question, he wakes him up and asks him a question. If my husband was sleeping, right? If a husband was sleeping, and the wife was awake, kaha dosht ko ai, and a dosht, a bad person were to come to the house, right? Dosht meaning a dushman, like a robber or a chor, someone with evil intentions, right? So that person is going to be called a dosht here. So say she wakes her husband up and says, if a husband were sleeping and his wife were to be awake, and an enemy comes into the house, right? And it doesn't clarify here what the enemy does or what the dushman does, what the person does. But a lot of the tikikars, they assume they meant that the dushman comes and probably puts allegations on the wife. Yeah, the dushman comes and puts allegations that the wife was spending her time with other men. Priya ko pratham javai aapun khai. Sorry, I think I misled. Turat dosti pat taja naat nehi chut jai. And if that were to happen, then what would happen? The love between the husband and wife will decrease right away. Right? If the husband were to find out that his spouse is cheating on him, then the love between the husband and the wife will decrease right away, right? The husband wouldn't be able to look at his wife the same anymore. So she's telling him this, right? And just follow along here. It's going to become clear in a second. Alittle, piye ko pratham javai aapan khaiya. Because a true wife, she's explaining this to her husband, right? Because a true wife only eats after her husband eats. A true wife, piye puche bin nak na lag ko ho jaiya. A true wife will only go even to the bathroom after asking her own husband. Jo piye aayas de jimi pita apna pati da agya hundi hai, so ser par lijiye. Whatever the husband says, the wife should do. Right? So the wife is putting this into her husband's head. Ho bin tanko kach ko na karaj kijiye. Without asking the husband, the wife should not do anything, right? This is a type of wife that is imandar, right? This is who a faithful wife is to her husband, right? Dohra bin pi ki agya le main lag ko nahi jao. So in that same way, without your agya, without your permission, I will not even go to the bathroom. Yeah. So she's waking up, she's woken up, and she's put a few things down. First, she's saying that if tomorrow someone comes into your house, a dushman, right? She called him a dushman, and puts an allegation onto me, right? That will decrease our love, right? And that shouldn't be the case, because how faithful I am to you. I am one of those type of wives that won't do anything without your permission. Now, Patiji, I woken you up tonight because I wanted to go to the bathroom, right? And so she's like, can I go to the bathroom? So I don't go to the bathroom without your agya. No matter even if I have to suffer so much on my body, I will commit to earning your bachan. I will commit to doing whatever you want me to do. Sunat bachan Mughal Mughal agyo triya deen. Bahodeen. So after hearing these flattering words from his wife, the Mughal is like, wow, she's so faithful to me, So he gives her agya. You can go to the bathroom if you want to. Reej gayo jad ban son. Jad means murk. Guru calls him a murk, a foolish person. Oh, reej gaya, khush ho gaya. He got so happy hearing the words of his wife. Sakyo na kach chal. He could not see the play she's playing on him. He could not see the deception she's pulling on him. Sunat pajantriya ut chali piya ki agya pai. Oh, after hearing that she got agya to go now, so she got up. Ratmani sutta banekam so hirda harak upajai. And she went to the other room where the son of the baniya was sleeping and went there and made love with him. Right. So, in a way, what did she do? She covered her back, right? She put the idea into her husband's head. Tomorrow, if I get caught, right, and someone comes to tell my husband that she's been sleeping with this bani, right, I gotta cover that angle, right? So that's why she told her husband that right away when he woke up, that if an enemy were to come right now and tell you that and put allegations on me, you know, that will decrease our love, right? So therefore you shouldn't believe that person, right? On top of that, I'm one of those faithful wives that will never do anything without asking her husband first, right? Look, I've woken you up tonight so I can go to the bathroom, right? And she uses that excuse and goes and therefore makes love with the bani, his child, right? Now, one thing to see here is that why does she need her husband's agya to do that, right? Because she's covering all of her grounds. That's number one. Because tomorrow someone comes to her husband, it's like, oh, I saw her that she's somehow, if someone were to see that she's slept with this child or this young man, tomorrow they told her husband, well, she left in the middle of the night and went to go mate with this child, right? The husband will be like, no, she actually asked me before going. She went to the bathroom, right? So you guys are lying, right? So she covered her ground so that her lodge, her ijat, her honor in that way will be preserved, right? Secondly, the last line here, Guru Sahib says, Para aap da kaise court ka sehelet, is the same upadesh has been coming from the previous few Charitras now, that no matter how much apda meaning destruction you have to face in your life, right? No matter how much crore means millions, how many millions of kasht, of pain you have to take upon yourself, Taun sugar meaning siana. Even then, a siana person, a clever person, istriyan ped na apno det, will never give his own ped to a prai istri. Will never give his heart to a prai istri, right? So in the sense here, that this man, he gave his heart to prai istriya. Prai means someone that's not yours, something that's not yours. Prai. Yeah. Prai istri means that woman that's not meant to be yours, right? It's someone else's woman, and you're spending time with her, you're looking at her, it's not the right thing for you to do. So this man, this Mughal, he was spending his time with so many different women, right? He was giving his heart out to all those people. For that reason, he lost his own wife, right? His wife, like the beginning of the Saki started, she was beautiful, right? She had all these characteristics no one else had, but he neglected her, right? He didn't even give her any attention. He did not give her his mind to her. For that reason, she, out of spite, right, she went out and made love with another person, So Satsangaji, this is the end of the 19th Charitr, the 18th tale, and I look forward to seeing you guys in the next one. Ji Pulcho ka dikhi ma bakshini. Vaheguru ji ka khalsa, Vaheguru ji ki fateh.